Hello friends, welcome back. Today we're gonna talk about the story of the world, chapter 16. It's called The Return of Assyria. Do you remember Shamshi-Adad, the Assyrian king who wanted to rule the whole world? He led his armies and conquered every city in their paths around Assyria. Then he made an empire, the Assyrian Empire. But when the Assyrians fought with the Babylonians, the Assyrians lost. They became part of Babylon's land and empire. But all the time they were thinking, one day we'll be free again and we will try to conquer the world again. Finally, that day came. The Assyrians rebelled against their masters, the Babylonians. They dug canals under the city and flooded it with water, washing the city away. We are like an evil rain that washes its enemies away, they boasted. We are like a net that tangles the feet of foes against us. They rampaged up and down all over Mesopotamia, taking over every city in their path. They stampeded over to Canaan and scattered the Israelites like dust. The Israelites were never allowed to return to their home again. Ashurbanipal, the king who was as strong as a lion, led his soldiers all the way down into Egypt and took it over. Even the mighty pharaohs of Egypt had to obey Assyria. Ashurbanipal was cruel and ruthless to his empire. He scattered salt all over the fields, poisoning the land so that no crops would grow. He killed anyone who tried to disobey him. He made people into slaves and never let them go home again. Many people obeyed Ashurbanipal because they were afraid, but all the time, people hated him. When we hear the news of your destruction, one conqueror man wrote, we will clap our hands with joy and nobody will cry over you. Ashurbanipal, the great king of Assyria, stood on his palace on the kingdom of Nineveh. It was his favorite city, and he was the strongest king in the world. The palace was filled with high, cool rooms hung with silk and painted with rich colors, royal blue, scarlet, and yellow as bright as the sun. He had carved hundreds of animals such as bulls and lions and edged with gold. The stories of Ashurbanipal's conquest filled the walls of the palace halls. But he dug canals and made the water flow there so that all Nineveh's people can drink. And throughout Nineveh, he planted gardens with strange wild flowers so that his subjects would wander around the gardens and watch the flowers grow. But it isn't enough. Ashurbanipal thought, I've made the city beautiful, but will it last after I am dead? 100 years from now, how will anyone know of my greatness? Excuse me, sir, a voice interrupted him. He turned around to see one of his chief scribes holding a clay tablet. The scribe pulled the tablet up. Ashurbanipal can see that it was covered with writing. Have you brought me a new book to read? He asked. We brought you a wonderful book, the scribe cried. One of your men found this in the ruins of old buildings, and we kept it safe until we bring it here to you. and slowly read the tablet. And he was looking forward for a good long evening of reading. That night, the Assyrian king was reading his new tablet by lamplight. He had an idea. Aha! How many clay tablets are in the ruins of old buildings? If they're not rescued, they'll be crumbled away into dust. They will never know these stories from old times. What if I were to collect them and keep it here in my palace? That would be a great project indeed. And I will become known as the king who collected books. And people could read my books hundreds of years from now. The king set his plan into action at once. He sent his scribes to all ruins of old buildings to search for clay tablets in his subjects to that would be a great project indeed, and I would become known as the king who collected books, and people could read my books hundreds of years from now. The king set his new idea into action at once. He sent his scribes into all ruins of old buildings and sent them to search for clay tablets that are not crumbled. He commanded other scribes to ask the people to repeat the story they heard from their grandmothers and grandfathers. These stories have been told to children for centuries, and the scribes wrote them into clay tablets, the stories that they heard from the people. Soon the king built more rooms to keep the tablets in because they're big. And Archer Bonapal's wish came true. Now people could visit his palace for any time and read his precious tablets. And that's how we know that Archer Bonapal was the king who collected books, the first librarian ever. That's all lesson for today. Bye!